All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Frogman Friday. I'm your host, Ryan Birdman Parrott. Today, our warrior guest is Thom Shea. He served 23 years as a U.S. Navy SEAL. He retired as a senior chief petty officer, and he founded Unbreakable Leadership in 2014, located in South Carolina. You can follow Thom on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn, handles to follow at the end of the show. To learn more about Unbreakable Leadership, go check out unbreakableleadership.com. Brother, welcome to the show.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for having me. And I appreciate what you're doing.
I appreciate you, bro. In fact, I want to just give a quick story for those of you listening. So Thom was one of my BUDS instructors, and it's so interesting because after going through BUDS and then showing up to SEAL Team 7, Thom was there. And so walking down the hall and seeing him, I'm thinking to myself, do I call him Instructor Shea? Do I say, hey, brother? And you kind of just find yourself facing the wall thinking, I'm just going to hide. And then there he is. And he's not a small man, and I am. So it's intimidating. So anyway.
I always wonder, as an instructor, a lot of people go for different reasons. I went because I had done 3 major deployments at Team 2, and I was going to get out. I'm like, I'm done. Like, the stress is legit, And I show up to instructor duty because Ryan Zinke said, hey, I'm going to go there and be the XO. Why don't you come with me? So I show up to duty on 2009, September 9th, 2001. Sorry. And two days before the towers got hit. So that whole tour of being an instructor was legit. Like, every one of you guys we were putting through, we knew we were going to war with them. And probably the best time in the world to be an instructor. And then you never know, because, talking to you and going on deployment with a lot of guys that I trained, you never know what kind of instructor you are. Like, you think you're a certain type of instructor, and then you ask people, and then they're either intimidated and they don't tell you, or you hear it from people like you. And I always wondered if I was a total dick, or was I human, or like, was I the one that said, hey, I wish he would get rid of Shea because he's mean? I never knew how I imparted myself on other people.
I watched you shoot with my own eyes, and I thought it was super impressive. But I think the most impressive thing is we all knew that you were a venture racer. It was always talked about. And then every time we had a run or a big run, you were right there in the front of it, getting ready to start. And we're like, oh, shit, this is going to be horrible. And you just, again, you're not a small guy, and you're just puttering through that run. No big deal. And we're all trying to, we're young bucks trying to keep up, and we just can't make it happen. So we feared you for sure. You did awesome though, and I was grateful to serve on the same team with you too. So that was
I always love to do stuff. I think the greatest thing in the world being a SEAL is you have to do things with each other. No matter what rank you are, or age you are, or how fat or skinny or what type of athlete you are, you're out there with the men all the time. And truly, that's the thing that I miss the most, is being at that level where everybody's sharpening their skills constantly. You know what I mean?
I hear you. Well, let's dig right in. Tell us about Unbreakable Leadership. How did you found it? Why did you found it? And what do you do?
Oh, bro. So everybody's listening. So it's a weird thing when a SEAL tries to describe how they do something well. I always take a step back and say, just remember, it's probably by fail, and then they figure things out, because SEALs don't know how to do anything other than fail. Literally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get out in 2014, and Stacy and I had real no intent to do anything. And Stacy being my wife. And so we moved to Greenville, and she had asked me to write down some things that I had learned from a deployment. And during that deployment in 2009, she'd asked me to write down things, and she wanted me to tell the kids in case I died. So, and I had made a bunch of notes. So in retirement, she goes, why don't you make that into a book? And I'm like, bro, books, man, I can't write. I can't sit down for 5 minutes and write an intelligent thought. So she said, why don't you sit down every night and write that so that we can give that to the kids. And she had the intent to make it a book. And I was one of those guys that say, man, I hate when SEALs do that. And here I am with a book. So I spent 9 months trying to figure out how to write, and I wrote probably 1 page a day, and it became the book called Unbreakable. And it was about lessons I wanted my kids to read or to know and to be able to do in case I died. And in it is kind of how to be a man, how to be a father, and how to lead people when shit's hitting the fan. And so that got me in the public sector inadvertently. And a lot of leaders said, "Hey, I want you to teach me about what you're trying to say in the book." So in probably the summer of 2014, probably 6 months into retirement, I had to create a training program to teach leaders how to deal with the terrible, chaotic situations that they face at work. Like people commit suicide, people dying, losing their jobs, losing money. How do you look at life through the lens of a leader when things aren't working out? And to date, we've trained 350 leaders in the past close to 8 years.
Wow. That's incredible how it just spiraled from something that you didn't want to do. But I mean, that's it. You say you fail 1,000 times, but well, clearly you're a leader, but the fact that you just keep charging ahead and you move forward to get to that place where you're wanting to train people like students like us. And now you want to train the civilian sector to essentially rise up to be their best person or their best,
Yep.
evolution of
Well,
themselves.
the funny thing is, it's a weird thing, and you and I come from the same background of being enlisted. So when we retire, we don't retire on enough money to kind of make it. Like if you're a admiral or a captain, by the time you retire, you have the same amount of pay that you had when you're active duty. So I think some captains retire at 110 a year. Boy, if you have 110,000 a year, your impetus to get off the X is zero. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Sure.
why would I want to work? I spent 20 years working hard. So what I found in retirement is my retirement wasn't enough. And I had 3 kids to raise. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to give them a lifestyle that I wanted them to have. So, dude, I had to do something, which is the greatest thing about being a SEAL is when you fear, I don't know if fear is the right word, when you think you have to, you're going to die. So you got to go do something. That to me is the enlisted mind. So you always feel like everything's falling apart and you're going to die. So you try to get better constantly. And I was used to that for 23 years, feeling like the next day I have to get better. And so I just took that same mindset into the business world. I didn't know anything about business. I think I'm dumber now than then. But I think the human part, we SEALs know more than anybody because we know how bad things can get and we know tighten things up together. Like don't do hard things by yourself. It's a beautiful concept. Teach leadership that. Don't make decisions by yourself. Slow down a little bit and be in shape. Cool thing about leadership is when you're in shape as a leader, it makes a big difference.
Sure
And
does.
so, small things like that, I thought I could do well, and I just kept trying to do those.
Fantastic. So what does your typical clientele look like? What does your target look like?
So being a sniper, I kind of honed the target area down. Men and women who've already succeeded once in their life in business, ranging between 35 and 55. That's the big bracket for us. Like we've tried to conduct the training on people that haven't succeeded yet. They don't do well. So the funny thing about that is, uh, unless you've won and then struggled trying to do it again, like the brain doesn't want to figure out how to really take it to the next level. And so our beautiful, it's agnostic of industry. We've had from mass insurance companies like Mass Mutual to lumber mills to mom and pop shops to couples going through training that are trying to develop a business and that are kind of stale, but they want more. So the profile is, dude, I want more out of my life. I don't want to have one once in my life, but I can't get going again. And they are willing to learn, and their ravenous ability to learn is what we kind of have to vet out quickly. And now my partner, a guy named Brock Barnes, who lives in Lubbock area or in Amarillo, so to speak, between Amarillo and Lubbock. He went through training and he wanted me to teach him how to do it. And so last year during COVID, we did, hey, you'd be proud of me, Ryan. We did illegal work. So when everything was shut down, we did live in-person training events, and whoever would allow us to do it there, like in a church or like a Burger King when it was closed down at night, wherever it took us to do training or allowed us to do training. Last year we had 8 different weekend seminars, and this year we've already had 5 because
Wow.
it's a beautiful, because hey, what would it be like to be better? And that's a big impetus to leaders. Most guys want to get better and most women want to get better, but there's not a lot of real no bullshit leadership programs that allow that to happen.